Okay. Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with life coach Linda Armstrong. Today is Friday. It is June the 21st, 2019. Happy summer solstice, everybody, I believe. I think it's today, yesterday or today, I'm not sure which. But anyway, it is currently 4 p.m. in New York, 1 p.m. Los Angeles, 9 p.m. in London, and I believe 6 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. But wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy to be talking to my friend Linda once again, as we do every Friday. This is like the energy lifter at the end of the energy lifting week. It's like this is where we go to the next level. And I like that a whole lot. And I saw something on Facebook just before we came on, and it the way it started, it kind of sounded like stuff that you've said to me in the past, and then it went in a little bit of a different direction. So I thought I'd throw it past you and see what you think. It says, we are closing out so many old cycles right now. It's extremely exhausting to the physical, mental, and spiritual bodies. June is the culmination of old patterns leaving. After the solstice, we will be in a completely new energetic space. Now, that's a little bit different from the take that you've given me. I'm curious to know what you think about that.
I think it's pretty much the same.
Is it the same? Okay.
What's different?
The part about extremely exhausting is the part that...
Oh, well, that's because of all the purging that's been going on. You know, that it has been exhausting.
Oh, okay.
You know, letting go of old patterns. I don't know how they phrase that, but it's old, you know, like cycles or parts of ourselves that we're letting go of. That's all that purging of this old energy that doesn't serve us anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe they're even speaking like on a collective, because that's going on too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see that in, I don't pay attention, but I know it's going on in political, in institutional things.
Well, all the time, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but even more so now, like things are really coming.
Well, let's be honest, they have a lot to let go of. So, you know.
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of take it the same as what, you know, most people who are tapping into the energy are saying. Yeah. And
Okay.
July is like especially for, July is just going to be a huge turnaround for most people.
Why is that?
It's just like the energy is just shifting and things are just going to be coming into play. It's like part of how we've gone through what this other person was saying, that exhausting time.
Right.
Now we get to step into a fresh new arena, right? So even like I know I'm going through something very difficult right now, but it's just a purging. And even though I don't really know what's coming or taking its place or changing in some way, I just know that it just has to be, you know, like there's something for me to step into now that's a little bit different.
Okay.
And so, yeah. So,
yeah. All right. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, I know of one thing that's coming in July. I know two things coming in July. This is an interesting little synchronicity that happened because with the audio play that Alex and I have been working on, and my sister PJ, we are now currently thinking that we're going to be able to release in July. We're still in the stage of doing the rehearsing and recording, but you know, we're getting that close, which is pretty exciting. I'm very excited by it. I know Alex is too. And so that means we're going to be releasing about the same time that you're talking about. We're going to be going to this new cycle. And interestingly enough, just a few days ago, I received an email out of the blue from somebody who was marketing a new service. And you know how it is with marketing emails. Most of the time you just kind of ignore them. This one I paid attention to because she said that she is setting up an advertising service for story-based podcasts. And I thought, well, that's pretty darn cool. Not the least of which because she found me. I mean, we haven't even hardly advertised anywhere, and she found me somehow. I'm not quite sure how. And the other part that's cool about it is they're launching in July. So they're launching at the same time that we're launching our podcast. I thought that was a pretty cool synchronicity right there.
Yeah. So that's how that could be in the air, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really know. I don't quite get why summer solstice makes a difference there, but the idea that we're kind of swinging into a new cycle, that certainly resonates with me just because of what's happening in our life and what's going on around here. So Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
You know what? We're always coming into new cycles.
Well, yeah.
But energetically, on a global and collective, and with all of the ascension, the energies shifting so rapidly, things are happening faster. So,
is it that they happen faster or that we perceive they're happening faster? Because it seems to me like throughout my life, everything keeps going faster and faster every year. But I don't know if that's just my perception or if that's just what's really happening.
well, you know what? It's both. Because I had that conversation the other day with my husband or my son, because I know, I'm like, is this going, like this last 6 months went so fast, but is that because I'm 58 relative to when I was 10 and those 6 months seem to take forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is that. But, no, it seems like things are just speeding up. Time is just speeding up.
Okay. Well, I don't know what it is. I know that there have been times where I wondered, okay, well, can I use my abilities as a conscious creator to make my perception of time slow down?
Yeah.
And I've actually pulled that off at times. I haven't gotten it to the point where I can do it consistently every single time that I want to do it. But I figured pulling it off at all is pretty good because I didn't think I could do that previously.
No, we can do it. We just don't really know it.
Mm-hmm.
We can learn different things. I know, like, even through theta healing, I've played with time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've managed to get to my karate school, it's a good 25, 30 minutes from my house.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten there in under 20.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of set it up because I was running late. And I'm like, listen, we got to get there on time. And I got there on time.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
But I've been told by some of my teachers, don't mess with time. Just leave it alone. Don't mess with it. Like, okay. But,
Well, that makes sense. I mean, because ultimately the best advice we get over and over again is live in the now. And you can't live in the now if you're focusing on time. I mean, that's just kind of like mutually exclusive, isn't it? You're either in the now or you're focusing on past, present, future.
Yeah, but since we do live in agreement with the cycle of time and 24 hours and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
We do use it. I mean, it's part of our reality, part of our awareness. When you have to be somewhere and you're already running late, it's like, okay, well, by regular standards, there's no way I'm ever going to make it, but we got to make it happen, so.
Right.
Yeah, but I think actually, someone who's fun to listen to is David Wilcock. Remember I sent you something about him?
Right.
And I think it's either him or he quotes other people talking about how 24 hours is actually getting done in like something like 14 hours. I can't really speak to this and know if I'm saying the right thing. But if you Google stuff like that, what's happening to time? Are we still on a 24-hour time? Find ways to ask the question, and probably get all kinds of people speaking to it.
Okay, that's interesting. I'll have to check into that.
So I think probably it's tied into how the frequency we're going into a higher frequency, and that's probably what's affecting the time. But I really don't know.
I don't know either. All I know is that I can change my perception, and that alone was a big breakthrough, just discovering that.
Yeah.
And through that change of perception, I guess everybody has really experienced that at one time or another, may not have recognized it or realized that we were doing that. But I think we've all done it. Anybody who's been, like on a vacation and the day just seems to stretch on forever as you're relaxing and just releasing, stresses and so forth. The day can just slow right down to the point where it feels like minutes or hours, which is great when you really need that. But when, like you said, when you're a 10-year-old waiting for Christmas, it's not so good.
Well, what is that phrase? Something about watching the kettle boil or the
right.
Because you ever do that? It's like you're in a hurry and this thing, it's going to take like 3 minutes and you're like, oh my God, those 3 minutes take like forever. But then you're doing something you love doing and it's like 3 minutes is not enough. I need more time because that went by too right?
That's why I think that the real art is learning how to stretch time out while enjoying it. If you can do that, you're getting the best of both worlds, I think.
Yeah.
At least that's what I keep convincing myself. Jeffrey made an interesting comment, by the way, about the solstice. He says it excites me that what is happening for me is happening for others around the world, which is a good way to look at it. I mean, very often we talk about like what you and I were talking about, how, people are dealing with, trying to purge stuff from politics and the news and all that kind of thing. But you can also look at it the way he's looking at it, like exciting things are happening in my life. I like the idea that exciting things are happening for other people. That's kind of like what you talk about when you say you like to walk down the street and just kind of randomly throw love at various people as you see them.
Yeah. But also too, part of the change is some of us are going through some really tough times.
Mm-hmm.
Having to have that faith. I think that's what my last video was about.
Of course.
That everything's working out exactly how it's supposed to be, and just trusting and going with that flow of what Spirit sends you.
Mm-hmm.
And just letting, Abraham, letting go of the oars and just letting yourself go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get stuck in it. Because a lot of times you go through something really hard before you actually break through in a higher place.
Well, what I can tell you is I'm going to get the opportunity starting tonight through Sunday to practice doing exactly this, because my wife is on a little trip up to Burlington, Vermont with a friend over the weekend. So I'm kind of batching it on my own. And what a better time to do it. I don't have the distraction of, okay, we're doing stuff together and so forth. I'm just going to see what I can do to kind of stretch time out and enjoy it while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit of a challenge.
I think I'll pick a card. Let's see if it has anything to do with what we're talking about. Jeffrey wrote something new. What did he say there?
He says, yes, thank you. And we are helping people just by doing what we are inspired to do.
Yeah.
That's true. That is very true. I can guarantee that the card is going to be related in some way. It always is.
It always is. But you never know. We might get surprised.
It's possible, yeah. There could be somebody out there who has a more important message they need to receive.
So we got it upright. The Dream Walker.
Ooh. What does it say? Dreams the what?
Dreams, the collective good, and illusions.
Oh, and illusions.
Is that illusions? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. And it's number 8.
Okay.
Okay. All right, see if I can do it without glasses. Okay, so it says, when the dream walker is your ally, dreams really can and do come true.
Mm.
Still, there are 2 kinds, those of the small self and those of the divine. Spirit has a dream for you that is yours alone. And all you need to do is ask, and it will unfold like magic. You also play an important and unique part in the divine dreaming of the world. When you ask, is this the dream for me? That serves the greatest dream, the greater dream. The most beautiful vision for your life serves the highest good for others too. So it's kind of like the comment that Jeffrey made, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So just the act of asking will immediately provide the answer. So the dream walker is beside you to help you move effortlessly through the illusions, observing the truth and celebrating the waking dream of your life that results. So, I mean, that's kind of cool too. It's like, again, it gets back to like really trusting that whatever this is that's happening is totally taking me to living that dream, maybe in a better way than I even thought I was capable of. Right? Mm-hmm. And just knowing that dream walker is walking beside you, helping you move effortlessly through the illusions. So the illusions are all the things that we can put in our way.
Oh, yeah.
That's the illusion, because we're actually capable of, we're love. We can do anything. Like we're capable of creating whatever we want. But we have created, everything's an illusion because we just decided that it is, right?
Yes. Yeah, which is cool, and it's a little bit mind-bending. It's also a name of a book, by the way, that Louis D'Souza and I have been talking about. Have you ever read Illusions by Richard Bach?
No.
It was written back in the 1970s, and we're going to be finishing it up this coming Monday. But this book basically taught the concepts of law of attraction before the phrase law of attraction became part of the popular vernacular, and it was really amazing how accurate his stuff was. And he is an interesting study in and of himself, because very often we think that somebody who's a teacher of this stuff is somebody they've got all this figured out, their life is perfect, they're attracting everything that they want, they're manifesting everything they want. He went through all kinds of trials and tribulations. And I guess he's currently in his 80s, but I mean, he had exhilarating highs. He had devastating lows. I know he went through bankruptcy. At one point, he's the author of various books. You may have heard of one of them. Jonathan Livingston Seagull was the one that kind of launched him to fame. And that book and the others were basically taken from him. The copyrights were taken from him. He had to get them back. I mean, he just went through all this stuff. And it seems kind of strange because he wrote these books, especially Illusions, about how we are in control of what we're going to bring into our lives. And yet here he is dealing with all this stuff. Well, that's one way to look at it. The way I like to look at it, and I think the way Louis likes to look at it, is you don't get through learning all this stuff. You don't get to the point where you really understand it until you go through learning through the mistakes and the trials and the tribulations and all that kind of thing. What does that say there?
That's the note I just wrote down. It's all part of the learning.
It's part of the learning. That's right.
It's all part of the learning. And it's all what makes him a better teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a coach and I can help people through all kinds of things. Energy healer. I help people. Doesn't mean I don't have my own crap that I got to go through.
Right.
Right? I mean, nobody's perfect, and we all do want to expand and grow.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we've kind of decided that how we expand is by moving through difficulties, right? That's an old program that it's going to be like part of history.
Mm-hmm.
Humans used to live this way.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be moving into this higher dimension where, manifest, it's just there. And we really tap into the fullness of who we are and our abilities and how we can create.
And we create from those experiences, those learning experiences. They're the ones that not only teach us what it is that we really do want out of our lives, but they also teach us how to get there. That's one of the themes that Joel has taught me about a lot, how one of the best things that ever happened to him was when he ended up getting thrown in prison.
Absolutely. But that's the 3D living, right? We're moving to where we don't have to learn that way anymore.
That's interesting.
Even now, we don't have to learn that way anymore. So the more of us who can change that programming, can learn through the energies of peace, love, and joy. I mean, that's what I preach. We want to learn through peace, love, and joy. No more fear, doubt, worry, struggle, that ego mind built on old stories. It's like the old stories are old. They're done now. We don't need them anymore. Even if we have to pretend this new story, and of course, again, that's manifesting right there, right? Putting the energy out of how we can move through, or even at least where I am right now, it's just letting go of the oars and just be like, okay, Spirit, take care of it. Move through me. That which is supposed to be coming for me, right? And it's easy to say, not that very easy to do.
Oh, we're still learning, obviously.
I'm going through something kind of difficult, pretty difficult. It's as difficult as I choose to make it, put it that way.
Sure.
Because some days I'm on top of it. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is exciting. This hard thing I'm going through. And other days I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I'm done.
Yeah.
Which again is happening probably so that I can really teach about just like that author, teach about how to navigate through these energies, to lift yourself into what takes you there easier. With enthusiasm and joy and all of those good high energies. Yeah.
I'm reminded of an email we received that I shared with you from one of our listeners, just really enthusiastic. I mean, she just loves the show and she loves the different directions we go into. But one of the things that she said was, don't say something like, you're going to get the messages out of the way. The messages are great. They're important. Get excited about them. Do them at the beginning. Do them at the end. So I am no longer going to say, I'm going to get the messages out of the way. I'm going to say instead, it's time for some messages. And then I want to get back to what we're talking about after the messages. But the messages are very simple, straightforward, and they are about becoming a subscriber to the podcast. If you're not yet a subscriber, please become one, because you get wonderful discussions every single day, 5 days a week that we do the podcast, and we do it 5 days a week. And it's very simple to do. You just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net, and there at the top of the page, you will see instructions on how to subscribe using your device. And once you do, it's just 1, 2, 3 steps. I mean, it's not really difficult at all. Once you do, then all the episodes come streaming live or streaming automatically to your device as soon as we publish them every single day. And of course, when you have subscribed, be sure that you share with others so that they find out about it as well. And take the time also to subscribe to us on YouTube, because that way you can get to see us as we're talking and as we're sharing. And as this listener pointed out, you also get to see us before we actually get started. So you kind of get the behind the scenes look as we're getting ready to start doing the podcast. So come to YouTube, just look for the LOA Today podcast videos page, subscribe and hit the little bell so that you can get notified every time that we're live. If you want to be part of the live stream, we'd love to have you in our live stream audience, or just listening to us on the replay, either way. But that way you get to see us as well as to hear us. So subscribe and share. That's the word of the day.
Cool. So while you were doing your announcements, I looked at the comments.
Mm-hmm.
So there's someone there who thinks I'm cute. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
And yes, I am married very happily. So.
Very nice.
Do you have a question about what Walt and I are talking about today? We'll discuss that.
Yes, that is true. I got a question for you, though, and this ties into what you were saying, because I kind of talked about what Joel's viewpoint is, and you took the viewpoint, well, we're going into a new era where we don't have to struggle anymore, where we're going to just basically be drawing from the love and the energy and so forth. And the question that I have kind of ties into that from an Abraham perspective, because Abraham talks about how we come here in order to experience the contrast, in order to experience the lows along with the highs, just to experience the stuff that we don't like as well as the stuff that we like, so we can make our choices and so forth. So in your view, how does that work? Does that continue if we're moving into a new realm where we're drawing from light and love and energy? Do we continue that kind of behavior? And if so, how do we do that?
Well, I haven't listened to current Abraham in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that they're probably going to start saying, we come here to learn through love, peace, and joy.
Oh. Okay.
Everything's evolving, right? So that was the story, and we needed to learn it in that way because look how many more people now actually tapped into that they have more power than they thought they did.
Mm-hmm.
They actually can control what happens in their life, and they don't have to be the effect of it, or they don't have to be a certain way because that's what their lineage shows,
Mm-hmm.
We've really been empowered by those messages like what Abraham has given us. And, Abraham's going to evolve along with everybody else, right? So
Sure.
I'll have to go and listen to some current Abraham and see what they're talking about these days.
It's a good point, yeah, because I can't say I've listened to the most current Abraham. I did go to their workshop a year ago, but I don't know what's happened in the last year because I just haven't been listening very carefully. So good point. Yeah, they may be shifting the message around. I do know that parts of the message have shifted. Louis likes to point this out to me, that it used to be the time period that they talked about in terms of if you think about a thought for X amount of time, then you start manifesting another thought. And if you think about it for another amount of time, then you start actually manifesting something physical. That time period used to be 17 seconds and 68 seconds.
Yeah.
Down to 14 seconds from what Louis tells me. So the evolution is happening there as well. We're actually shrinking the amount of time that we have to focus on something before we start turning it into another thought.
All right. There you go. So everything evolves, right?
It does. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, of course, is posting up a storm because he's usually very good at that. And he types in the word pre-tent, taking care of something beforehand. We know it's coming. We are paving our own ways. And how we speak is so transformative. It's an interesting viewpoint. What do you think of that when you hear that?
When I see how you speak is so transformative because what you say is what you become, really,
Mm-hmm.
Like the way it hit me at first was like with Dr. Emoto's impressions in water.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Mostly water, right? So what we say has an impression into the very cells of our body, and we carry that out within our energy field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one thing I used to love to do with people right away when I first met them and they would come to my groups or things like that, is to get them to actually pay attention to how they speak to themselves, what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, people are usually surprised by how often and how much they were beating themselves up.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when you become aware of that and you notice yourself beating up on yourself and then you decide to change the story and be like, oh, it's okay, Linda, you're learning, you'll get better or whatever, right? After a while, you don't even do it anymore. And you don't even know you're not doing it until one day something happens. You're like, oh, you idiot. And then you're like, oh my God, I called myself an idiot. Oh, I haven't done that in a long time, right? So you start to bring awareness to it because, yeah, how we speak and what we do and say, as well as, it's the same thing as what we think. So if you're calling yourself an idiot, you're thinking that you're incapable of whatever it was you just beat yourself up over, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's a good point because that self-talk is huge. And when we're first exposed to the idea that we can control that self-talk and that our control of it actually makes all the difference in the world, then we're faced with, oh my God, I have all these thoughts. I have 50,000 thoughts a day. How the heck am I going to control all these? It seems impossible. And yet, if we kind of stick with it and just keep trying and, okay, I didn't quite do so well today, but I'm going to try a little bit more today and do mirror work or do meditation or do whatever kind of processes that appeal to us the most, to just keep trying to change the thought process, keep trying to change the self-talk. Over time, it does change. Over time, we do get better at saying what it is that we want to say to ourselves and talking to ourselves in the way we want to talk to ourselves. And we even get to the point where we start talking to other people the way we want to talk about ourselves. We even start telling better stories to other people about what's going on in our lives. And then the momentum kicks in. And that's the part that I find to be the most interesting. Because as the momentum kicks in, not only does it become easier, but it becomes brighter. Is brighter the word? It's like everything appears better. Everything seems
brighter, lighter, with more light. What is light? Light is love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, as you were talking, you're reminding me of Bruce Lipton, who, biology of belief, right? Mm-hmm. So he talks about how, I don't know exactly how he says it, but how, like, up until, like, the age of 7, I know it's like 7, by 8, then little kids start to realize they're not the center of the universe, and then they start looking outside of themselves, right? But in those first 7 years, we're basically walking around in a theta wavelength, brainwave. So it's very hypnotic. And so he talks about how the best way to change your belief, and this is why I do a lot of the things I do, is to, before you go to sleep, and even when you're first waking up, you're still in that theta brainwave, right? That's when you want to tell yourself the new belief, the new story that you want to create. So that's why I like to create these little meditations that are either a mantra or something, of some sort that repeats. I put it on a loop. I listen to it as I fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's rewriting the program. It's like, he also talks about like walking or driving a car. In the beginning, you don't know how to do it and you can't look all different. Now we can text and drive and all that kind of stuff, right?
Preferably not at the same time, but yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, we shouldn't, but we are capable of it because we're so good at driving now. That part the subconscious is just doing it for us. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you kind of blank out because your mind is somewhere, and then you realize, what exit am I at?
Yeah.
I'm past my exit. I didn't even know it, or whatever it is, right? But your car's still going. You're not bumping into anything.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There's the subconscious was taking over the show while you were kind of off somewhere in La La Land while you're driving. I know I've done that many times. Like, oh my God, okay, focus.
Right? How did I get here? Somehow I seem to have focused on it indirectly, but I don't remember doing it. How did I do that?
The point is, it's something you've done. It's repetitive. You learn through repetition.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about reading a self-help book once is great, but it's not going to reprogram. You may not get your results. Read it 2 or 3 times, you'll start to get those results. So when you immerse yourself in all these things to do with, personal development, spirituality, self-growth, law of attraction, and the more you hear from even different people, the more it's creating new beliefs within you to where you can apply it within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, in fact, I think I'm going to put together a little product with a couple of more of these type of I use brain entrainment music so that you're just telling yourself something that is productive to replace some of those old programs that, really just not serving you.
What is it about that?
Let me just add.
Oh, sure.
Brainwave. So when I do the work I do, I bring you into a theta brainwave. And that's where I connect to creator, source, whatever you want to call that. and I hear what's the guidance is and what to, how to, I pull beliefs, I replace beliefs with new ones while you're in that theta brainwave, because that's how you take it in. And we have that come into every single cell of your body. I say we because there's a lot of people who do this kind of work in the highest and best way for you, right? Into every single cell of your body. So then you can hold that new belief, the energy that's contained within it, and have it actually take place in your life.
Mm-hmm. What is it about that theta brainwave state that is more effective than the other states?
Well, it's very hypnotic. So you're going to take the information in. That's why you don't want to fall asleep watching some horror movie or something like that. Then it winds up in your dreams. How many times my husband and I are binging this show right now, and it's an awful show, and we haven't stopped looking at it yet, right?
Oh, no.
But we don't like it. It's like we're hoping something good comes out of it. But, if I get a little tired, because we stay up late all the time, that will show up in my dreams. Something about what was going on in that show. And I'm dreaming this. I'm like, oh my God, this show is no good for me.
I know what you mean. I literally have gotten to the point where if something is on television that Louise is watching particularly, and it's not, and I can just tell it's not something that's going to resonate well with me, I just get up and get out of the room, because I do it out of self-defense. It's nothing against her. It's just that I know that one's not good for me. I got to get out of here.
Right.
Which, by the way, she has now gotten to the point where she realizes what's happening, so she instantly turns the channel and says, come on back, we'll watch something else.
So you definitely don't want to be getting into that theta brainwave, like you're starting to fall asleep, and take that in.
Mm.
Yeah.
It also matches what Neville Goddard taught, because Neville taught that you did your best attracting by focusing on what you wanted as you were falling asleep.
Right.
Same thing.
Right. And a lot of people teach that. So I don't know where it originally came from, because,
I don't know.
Maybe it was Neville. I don't know.
It could have been. I don't know. Well, actually, it can't be Neville originally, because Neville got it from his guy who was named Abdullah. And where did Abdullah get it from? I'm not really sure. He was a Middle Eastern mystic. So.
Right. Well, and then there's also, what's his name, with Think and Grow Rich. I mean, it was all the same stuff. And that's like, what was that, early 1900s? When did he write it?
Was about 1935 was when that came out. Yeah.
And then I remember when I first got into this, there were these other books, I can't remember the names now, but they were written in really like 1910. Mm-hmm. It's all law of attraction. I mean, it's not like it's not been around. It just hasn't been packaged in a way that it is now, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah. One of Cindy Chavez's favorite is, I hope I get her name right, Frances Scovel Shinn, I think it is, who wrote about in that same era, the early 1900s.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is third chakra, Archangel Chamuel.
Okay.
The third chakra is the solar plexus chakra. So that has a lot to, it's the color of gold, right? That has a lot to do with your will, your ability to manifest, how you're perceived in the world, how you put yourself out there.
Okay.
So we got it in the upright position. And this says then. So it says this powerful Archangel Chamuel. Here, look, let's look again.
That's quite an image.
Is holding a beautiful sphere of golden light at the solar plexus, which is the location of your third chakra and the center of your life force energy. The issues here revolve around emotions of desire and your personal energy. When this card appears upright, it indicates that an increased enthusiasm is present or soon to be on its way. Ooh. This is a great time to move towards the completion of your desires. Your life force is vibrating with power and resonance, and your soul is calling you to direct your energy in a focused, purposeful manner. This angel of power is with you now, so go for it. Wow.
Nice. Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Because although I'm not disclosing this huge thing I'm going through right now, I was talking to my son before we came on the show, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm really energized. This is like really sucky, but I'm so energized. Maybe Chamuel is around me, right?
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
But that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. It's all part of the growth, right? Because what is it showing me? It's showing me how even in the same day or in the same couple of days, and I talk about this a lot. I've talked about it in videos. You could be, same things are going on in your life. This day, you're on top of the world.
Mm-hmm.
This day, you're not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What changed?
Perception.
Nothing out there changed.
Nope.
Something in here changed.
Yeah.
Right?
That's it.
So that's your energy. That's why, everything is energy. And so the more people who become aware of that, and that's why this show is so good, because it's always putting that message out. That's how you know that you can manifest your life. You might think you're the victim of this or that, but maybe Spirit's giving you that I was going to say fastball. I don't know what the expression was, but they're throwing you this thing that you think is not so good, but you don't realize it's what's going to take you to what is even better for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true.
And the thing is, we don't really believe it until it's 5 years down the road. I'm like, oh, thank God that happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, it often happens that we're in the middle of something that at the time just seems dreadful. In fact, literally, we can dread something, depending on what's going on in our lives. For some people, there's some really, really horrific stuff going on, and, I'm just dreading this thing that's about to happen. I know it's going to happen. It just seems inevitable to me. I can't get away from it. And then it finally happens. And yeah, it was pretty bad. And then all of a sudden, whoa, life doesn't feel so bad anymore. I am no longer anticipating something bad happening, and everything starts to lighten up. So at the very moment that seems to be the worst thing, and once it's done, it's like, oh, well, life has gotten better all of a sudden. What changed? What changed? Nothing, except our own perception.
You know what? Thank you, Jeffrey, because he said curveball. Yes, that's what it is.
Right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it also throws sliders and knuckleballs and changeups too. They make things really interesting.
Yeah. And maybe it is a fastball because it's good. It's like, boom, it's just here. And you're like, oh my God.
Oh yeah. When you see enough curveballs, that fastball gets really fast. It looks very, very fast.
Yeah. All right, let's pick another card off of the
okay.
This vibrational energy coaching desk. Oh, look.
What is it?
Hold on. New beginnings. I have to speak so the camera comes. Oh, you can't see it.
We're kind of getting the image. It's kind of blanking out, or
at the bottom is where it would say. There it is. New beginnings. You see it?
Yeah, I see new beginnings now. Yep.
Okay. Perfect. New beginnings.
That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're talking about from the beginning of the show.
It should be exactly what we need to hear here. LMN. Here we go. New beginnings. Okay. For something to begin, something must end. It is a law of balance. Mm-hmm. How we accept the conditions of any situation is solely reliant upon who we are at that moment. Go with the flow, or do you want to go kicking and screaming? The choice is yours and yours alone. But before you choose, decide what is less harmful to your vibration. So that's perfect, because the video I did put out yesterday, whatever it was, speaks exactly to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that video, of course, I needed to make that video because of what I'm experiencing, right? So I'll keep sharing the things that I find will keep me on track,
sure,
so that I can help whoever else, because like attracts like, right? People Absolutely. Are going to listen to me or connect with me in some way, have something going on.
Yeah. By the way, Jeffrey just said your new video just popped up for him on YouTube, so cool. It's getting there. It's getting out there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, though, because new beginnings are really what the original quote, not original, but the quote that started off the show was about moving from one era, one period, I'm not sure how to describe it, but one section of time into the next section of time. Yeah. And that is a new beginning every time.
Yeah, or one way of being, like living through, having to overcome. I mean, we have monuments, big monuments of faces that overcome, like, what is it, Mount Rushmore?
Mount Rushmore.
This, that, the other. There's always been statues and photos and, paintings dedicated to those people who overcame.
Mm-hmm.
You put it up on a pedestal, right? So what does that tell us? That we can overcome. So how do you overcome? You have to have some crap happen in your life so you can overcome it, right? So by wanting to be the one who rises above, and it's always been demonstrated to us that in order to do that, you have to come through some bad stuff, and we have to create bad stuff to overcome, right? No more. Old story. It's like old story. Talk to the hand. I'm done with that. Done with that.
It's an interesting thing, too, because what you're really saying, I think, when you're saying I'm done with that, is I'm ready to take my toe out of that contrast for a bit. I've been dipping the toe long enough. I've been swimming around in that contrast long enough. I'm ready to come out a little bit and start just enjoying all that I've learned, enjoying everything that I've manifested out of that. Enjoy the fact that I have made some new choices, and those new choices were different from what I was using or from what I was making before, but nevertheless, they're choices that I like a lot, and that they're going to lead to results that I like a lot, and I can enjoy that. So that to me is part of what it means to come out, to kind of leave the contrast behind a bit.
Well, and you know what's even more fun that I realize now, I don't always realize it till afterwards. But the next video I already shot, and it's already loaded up. I just have to make it go public when I decide I want it to go public, is all you need, I think I titled it, All You Need to Thrive, and something about connecting to your truth, right? So what's our truth? Our truth is that we are love. That's only like a 4.5-minute video. It's a short one, like right to the point. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. So when we see ourselves as this energy of love, which is a high vibration, and we start sending that energy out all the time and living in that energy, well, guess what? Here we are, 5D, living our life, creating through this high vibration energy of love. So we're creating through peace, love, and joy, rather than struggle. Yes. So to me, that's the whole goal, is to be in that space with where there is this harmony, and where you actually are connecting to that energy without having to connect to it anymore. You just are it in the high vibe, not denying that you are it by living in these low vibes. Because you're always love. I mean, that's who we are. We're this energy of love, and this energy of love heals all things. It heals all things, and I proved that early in my journey, because that's how I healed my rotator tear cuff. I just put the energy of love in there. Boom, heal. The energy that heals. We are love. So when we can own ourselves as that, because it's not always portrayed that that's who we are, right?
No, it's not. But it's a good thing to remind ourselves of. I mean, I have a little note on the wall, and it's really my only note. Lots of people put Post-its all over the place. So I have one note, just one. And it always says the same thing every time I look at it. I am source energy, and I make wonderful things happen by feeling good first. It's my way of reminding myself I am love. I am that source energy.
Right.
When I can remember that, that's when the good stuff happens.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool.
Which is perfect. Yeah, so then, that's why, a lot of people put this message out, and it's good because we need to wake everybody up. That's the awakening, right? We need to wake everybody up to this, that it doesn't have to be the way it's always been, that it can totally change to where things come in an easy way. Why can't that be the wrong way?
Yeah, that's a message that's going to appeal to a lot of people, because there are a lot of people who are just sick and tired of the old way. And for good reason. The old way is pretty tiring. It can exhaust you. It can wipe you out.
But what's really cool is that the old way has to change. It cannot not change, because the frequency of the planet is rising. We're getting into a higher vibrational place. And that's why there's all this purging. That's why there's all this systems and ways of being that are falling apart, that are being exposed for their truth.
Yeah.
Whether it's big things or little things, it's being uncovered.
I'm finding that more and more I am noticing that change in places that, or I should say in events and situations that other people are looking at those same events and situations. They're, public, they're well-known situations, and they're saying how terrible it is. And I'm looking at the same one, I'm saying, wow, this is going to lead to something really cool. I'm taking a different perspective, and I really do think that. Yeah. I see that in politics. I see that in entertainment. I'm seeing some really interesting shift going on in entertainment. And I'm kind of glad that we're putting out our audio play at this time, because I think it's falling right into that pattern. But there's a shift going on. And I'm not sure I could actually point to, well, there's this show or there's that movie or whatever that demonstrates it. But just kind of overall, there is a shift going on where people are, it's like we've been through this whole dark contrast thing where We have all these things that we really, 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 really don't like. And now people are saying, you know what, I want to choose what I do like. They aren't necessarily saying that consciously. They aren't necessarily saying conversationally, you know what, I'm going to start choosing what I really like. That's not necessarily what's happening. But you can see that they're starting to make different choices. And it's happening on a large scale. I'm seeing it all over the place. So to me, it's encouraging.
Yeah. So you know what? I'm going to pick a card from for some reason I felt compelled to bring out the Archangel Raphael Healing Deck.
Okay.
So of course it's a collective. We're going to pull it for the collective. Might speak to some, but not others. I don't know. It can be pretty specific, this deck. But you know what? I'm just going to bring it out, and we'll see what happens. So
there was something that kind of nudged you on the shoulders saying we need to bring out the healing deck because it's a healing deck. There's something about healing that needs to come in. Is that what you were getting the message?
Well, I've got a lot of decks, and something told me just to pull this. The reason I'm giving this kind of like disclaimer is that it sometimes gets very specific as to something in your body that needs to be healed or something like that, right?
Oh, I see. Okay.
So normally I wouldn't pull this deck out. I would use it with individuals more than with like a collective thing. We don't know who's going to be listening or watching this, right?
Right.
What they're going through. So
there's at least one person, and probably more than one person, that this is a message they need to hear right now. Maybe even us.
Well, so like this deck, and I have another deck which is Life Purpose. I won't just always pull that out. I usually use it more when I'm just working with one-on-one with somebody. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like it's a very individual kind of message usually, but something told me to pull it out, so we're just going to see what we get.
Okay, yeah, let's give it a shot. See what we got.
And we're going to get unconditional joy.
Oh well, hey, I can look at that.
Thank you, Spirit. We'll take that. Let's see what it says. Unconditional joy. All right. So there's a little prayer that's on the card. It says, Dear Archangel Raphael, thank you for helping me appreciate everything that makes me happy right now. Mm-hmm. Good prayer.
Very good.
So it says, this card serves as a reminder that it's possible to experience joy no matter what's happening in life. Oh, my God. This
exactly what we just said.
The whole time. I love these cards. That's just
good. Yeah.
Okay. And I didn't even want to take this. I took it out reluctantly, but anyway. So
you did it, though. You followed your guidance on that.
I learned I have to listen. So, if I don't listen, they'll stop talking to me, right? Maybe. Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think they keep talking. It's just you just stop listening. That's all.
I don't know, but if I don't take their advice and go with it, they might be like, I guess she's not ready to really commit.
Well, that's the way I've heard it explained is they're constantly trying to send us the message, and then every once in a while we get the message and they go, Yahoo, we got through this time.
Yeah, so then what about when you get the message and you say, I'm sorry, I don't think that's the right message. I'm not going to listen. That's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't have pulled this deck out, but I listen, and it's perfect. Okay. It is. So it says, too often we put conditions on our happiness saying, I'll be happy when, and then fill in the blanks. Mm-hmm. However, maintaining a lighthearted, cheerful mindset can be a potent health prescription for increased vitality and strength. Archangel Raphael can help you find something to feel joyful about by focusing upon things that you're grateful for. Yes, I think the whole audience knows that, right? Mm-hmm. As you allow yourself to be happy today, you attract more circumstances that will enhance your sense of well-being even more. It's a healthy cycle, beginning with your present happiness. Yeah. So it says it always gives like a possible meaning. So I'm going to read them all because it could hit different people in different ways.
Sure.
It says, notice 3 things that make you feel happy. Make a gratitude list. Keep your thoughts focused on the here and the now. Hold the intentions of enjoying each moment to its fullest. That's a good one, especially like in those tough times. Okay, how can I enjoy this moment? And find a way to do that.
One of my favorite ways to do that, and I've been doing this more and more, is with food. You have a particularly good, it works great with desserts, but it really works with any kind of food. A food that you like, that you like a lot, and it was prepared well, and you're eating it right now. So often we'll shovel the food in and swallow, shovel and swallow. But if you take the time with whatever kind of food it is, to just chew it slowly and let it just kind of, seep into your mouth and seep down your throat and swim around in your saliva and so forth. Oh my goodness, it can be overwhelming. It can literally be sensually overwhelming, but talk about feeling it. You really, really feel it when you do that. You really experience it.
Very cool. So that's something that everybody needs to experience over this weekend.
Well, here in the northeastern part of the United States right now is strawberry season. Strawberries are a great way to do it. Just take a strawberry. By the way, I recommend not refrigerate it. Get it to room temperature before you do it. Take really not one of the store-bought ones. Go to like a local farm stand. Get a really good, deep red, juicy strawberry. Take a bite and don't swallow it for at least 20 seconds and just experience it melting in your mouth. I swear to God, it will be somewhere between orgasmic and knocking you senseless because it'll be so powerful.
So in my mind, I was doing a chocolate-covered strawberry.
Okay, well, that works. That's fine. Hey, it's whatever you enjoy.
So one other thing it says, the decision that you're contemplating has a happy outcome. Right. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Spirit, making me pull out that one today.
Apparently, strawberries aren't just here in the Northeast because Jeffrey's in the Northwest. Hood strawberries in Oregon. Yes, he says. So this is definitely strawberry season across the country.
Yeah.
He also said he made an interesting request earlier. He said, let's do a rampage of appreciation, which is kind of what we've been doing. And so I urged him to give us some. He says, I appreciate this podcast. I appreciate friends and family. I appreciate food and wine. There's an interesting combination right there. And then he follows up reacting to what I was saying. Yes, savor. That's what I teach. So that's good. That's a good start for a rampage. That's the cool thing. People often look online. They go to YouTube and go, let's see if I can find an Abraham rampage of appreciation. But you can actually do your own. Yeah. And they're more effective.
What if we did a rampage of appreciation for the contrast, right? For all that is teaching us, for all that is bringing up within us so that we can let it go, so we can bring in more of this high vibe of peace, love, and joy and go out and live our day, at least for that day. And kind of like a Reiki thing. It's like just for today, right? Just for today, I can release struggle. And so you do that all day long. And so the next day you can get up and say, just for today, I release all struggle, right? You keep doing that until you make it a habit.
And if the day is too much, just for this moment, just for the next 10 minutes, for the next 5 minutes, whatever amount of time you can handle, just do it for that amount. And then do it for the next one and for the next one.
Right.
That's the idea of what Abraham calls the segment intention.
Yeah.
And you do that and, oh my goodness, it's fast. We talked earlier about how time speeds up. In that case, it isn't so much that time speeds up, it's that the results come faster.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you're really doing this appreciation for right now for some X period of time, even if it's only a few minutes, and then you do a little bit more, and then you do a little bit more, and you just do, for the next moment and the next moment or the next day and the next day, you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Over time, it starts to build the momentum. It starts to get stronger. It gets more powerful, and it kind of consumes you to the point where that's what you want to focus on all the time. I mean, you talked about that a moment ago, the reprogramming. You're reprogramming what your subconscious mind's story is just by doing that, just by repeating those good feeling experiences.
Right.
And as you do that, it just kind of takes over.
Because we do learn through repetition.
Yeah. Yeah, that repetition is an amazingly powerful thing. I wanted to ask you about something, too, that came up in my Wednesday show with Cindy Chavez. With Cindy, we talk about Neville Goddard. And one of the concepts that came out of the last book we were reading called Prayer, the Art of Believing, was Neville presented the idea of the story, like what we've been talking about, the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories that we tell each other, and that story, as we repeat it over and over again, kind of builds and builds and builds and builds and manifests. And it occurred to me that it's really the same thing as what Abraham says about belief. A belief is a thought that you think over and over again. You keep telling the same thing over and over again, and your belief builds, which made me realize storytelling is really building belief.
Yeah. Right. So what's the story you want to tell? I mean, that's like one of my 7 tips, change the story. What's the story that you want to tell?
Because as you tell that story repeatedly, you build your belief in it. And that's really an amazing thing. I say it's amazing because when I first started exploring law of attraction, I struggled with the idea that I could change my belief. I thought beliefs kind of occurred to me. They were impressed upon me by my environmental circumstances. I didn't get to choose them. So the idea that I could develop a belief, I thought belief was like like a religious belief. Your parents teach you your religious belief, so this is your religious belief, and you hear it over and over again, and so that's what you believe. But what Abraham taught, and others have taught me, is that I can change my own belief by what I focus on, by what I choose to think about. And at first that seemed overwhelming, but then when you practice it and you try it and you do it a little bit more, you begin to realize it really is true. You can change your belief. You can change it just by telling the news story over and over again. And the more you tell it to yourself, the more you build the belief. I'm just going on about that because I think that's an amazing thing. What a fantastic phenomenon that is. Yeah. We get to change our beliefs.
And that's why I love the work that I do, because is the speaker going crazy again?
Oh, it could be. I don't know. I'm not hearing it, but it's possible.
Because literally it's changing beliefs, patterns, and programs. I mean, it really is doing that. Because the clients that I'm working with, they'll be like, ask them, how are you going with, how's this happening? Is this still showing up? No, it's gone. Mm-hmm. What did we do? All we did was change the beliefs energetically, pulling out the old ones, hearing what the new one is, and putting in the new one.
Yeah, it's basically re-recording on old tape.
Yeah, releasing the energetic ties and the patterns, programs, vows, oaths, decisions, all that stuff that created this way of being. Like, you can just let it go.
That was another topic that was a little bit difficult for me at first, understanding the idea. How do you let go of something? I don't even know how I'm holding on. How can I possibly let go of something I don't know that I'm holding on to? But when it's explained the way you're talking about, when it's explained in terms of, well, you do it by just changing the programming. Oh, well, yeah, of course. You let go of it just because you're focusing on something else.
Right, because you can even think, well, how did I get that in the first place? Oh, it was programmed into me. Oh, yeah, because every teacher I had told me this, or my parents told me that, or mm-hmm. the church told me this, or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where did it come from? It was planted. It was planted.
Very good. So going back to the original topic I brought in, based on the Facebook comment, we have been going through a change of cycle, which that particular commenter is saying is associated with the changes of the seasons, the going into the summer solstice. We've been leaving behind this purging time. That's the way you described it. They described it as a time of struggle. We're now entering a time of, how would you describe this time that we're going into now? This new time, this new beginning that like the card said.
I'd like to look at it like possibilities. We're moving into unlimited possibilities. Mm-hmm. And we're moving into trusting and knowing that we are this high vibration. And with that comes this gift of being able to, well, maybe it's, okay. So it gets back to the matrix. Everything outside there is somehow within here. Mm-hmm. There's some agreement in here as to whatever we believe, sense, know, experience, it shows up. You know what? A fun way of looking at that is to ask people to start noticing synchronicities. Really start noticing when you just know something, you don't even know how you know it. Or when you have a thought about someone, they text you the next day. Mm-hmm. Or really pay attention to those times when that's happening. Because that's what's going to give you evidence to let you know that you are tapped in. Mm-hmm. You are tuned in to energy. You're just not aware of it, right? So the more you notice these things, and there's the law of attraction, the more you notice these things.
Yes, I agree.
The more you notice these things, the more you notice these things, because the outer reflects the inner. So as the inner starts to acknowledge, really own, and absorb this thing to do with energy, tapping into energy, mm-hmm. realizing that synchronistic things are not by chance, that it's all created by you.
Which is a powerful thing to recognize.
And the support that you have in spirit.
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is awakening you up to, your own power. Yeah.
So good morning, everybody. Welcome to your own power. And by the way, for those of you who, like me, thought that I had become disconnected, it's nice to know you never were disconnected. You've been connected all along. You're just becoming aware of it. Congratulations.
Right.
Which is a fabulous thing. Hey, before we go, Linda, tell people how to reach Linda Armstrong, the energy and life coach, the theta healer.
Just go to lovemylife.coach and you'll find me there. You could even find my YouTube channel through there, because on the homepage I'll have like a little strip with a bunch of videos. It'll take you right there, or just go to YouTube, Linda Armstrong Energy Healer. You'll find me.
Very good. Excellent. And our listener said I should be doing the announcements twice, so I won't go through the whole thing, but I will say subscribe and share. Please do, because we want to have you coming back every single time. We love every one of you. We love our live stream listeners. We love it when Jeffrey in particular just goes off on, wow, he just goes crazy in the chat section. It's wonderful.
And hit the bell. You want to hit that bell, because sometimes you're really busy. You don't realize, it's 4:00 on Friday.
Yeah.
But you get that notification. You're like busy on your computer and the notification comes up. LOA is live. You're like, okay, good. Let's hop over there.
There you go. That's it. So subscribe, get notified, and share as well. And that's the whole thing. So thank you very much. Thank you to our podcast listeners as well. We wouldn't have a program without the podcast listeners. So thank you so much. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody. Stop the live stream, and we stop